Welcome, I'll be reacting to Black Sails, Season 3, Episode 6. This is not a market substitute, please support the original. I hope this works. I don't want to lose Scott.
For you to be seen as uninterested in what is happening for my father now, that is not going to help convince anyone here that you were serious about desiring their friendship.
I think he has his own issues. He might need a drum circle too. I mean, we know he loses more of his leg. Maybe that's now. Oh.
If he taught it wrong, then you instructed him wrong.
It's about the teacher, not the shinies.
Looks like we got ourselves a batch of shinies, Commander. We'll take back our post, shiny or not.
As long as we hold our end of the bargain, they'll hold.
Yeah, that wasn't what I meant. I understood a war meant to antagonize England. But that isn't what we're talking about anymore, is it? Now you're talking about a war meant to be won. You convinced them.
But you didn't convince Billy.
Ocracoke Island. Teacher's lair.
Aha!
2 hours time, assuming he's there.
I mean, I know that they split, but I don't know how, and I don't know how the show is going to handle it. Bane and Blackbeard will no longer see eye to eye.
When you were still
Which wife is this?
I was the woman who was Blackbeard's woman.
Things are different now.
Different how?
Doesn't need to last long.
What?
A little Spanish shrapnel. Grim little timepiece. Whose ticking has grown louder to my ears of late.
Charles doesn't know, does he?
This is going to be a very strange segue. I like the fact that the Blackbeard actor is clearly very strong and capable, but they didn't give him the classic Hollywood six-pack thing that Vane has. He's more of an actual strong guy. I mean, I've read all kinds of crazy stuff about what like Marvel actors have to do and DC actors to get that perfect Hollywood body, like not drinking water that they really need, all kinds of wild stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you to Black Sails for portraying a guy who's healthy and strong.
How does an honest chambermaid end up in the employ of the Spanish Empire?
I came home late from the governor's service. The man who had approached me, Grandel, was there, waiting. In his left hand a knife, in his right a purse.
And how else could you choose, really, as a mother?
Can she report that we're earnestly attempting to find and return the missing mine?
It's not about the money for them, not anymore. And insults to empires require answers.
If the result of my endeavor here is a Spanish attack against
They'll all
British
leave.
forces, I would be recalled to London and likely debtor's prison.
I know too much about history right here. Jack, couldn't you just leave well enough alone?
Whole gang of us up there. Governor wants the ship shape by the end of the month. Suppose that fort's not going to rebuild itself.
He's probably upset that he couldn't get people to work.
You mean, aside from the tit curtains?
It's called a cravat.
What are you wearing?
It's a cravat. It's what respectable men wear. But the experience of it, it ain't half bad, Jack.
Next.
John Rackham.
We've been looking for you.
My Lord Governor would like a word with you.
What I don't understand is why you choose to suffer in the first place. You must have access to better medicines than that. We've got access to better medicines than that.
This has nothing to do with medicine.
Listen to Maddie.
So I will endure this, the way I have been enduring it.
No one prepared you for this. You're frustrated. You're angry. You're tired. Perhaps no one else knows why. I believe that not even you know why. But I know why.
She's right, she's had the training. I still kind of ship these two.
I intend to gather forces and move to reclaim Nassau. The conquest is always weakest when the conqueror allows himself to believe that it is done. For Nassau, that point is now.
Can we talk about the fact he brings a chair like that with him onto the beach? Respect, Blackbeard.
As long as it's mine, Nassau shall remain in its past.
It isn't yours. It never was. They were pledged to my command, not yours.
Do you really want to challenge him directly, Flint? I don't think that's a good idea.
There's only one way I know of to resolve that.
A duel?
Pistols, then swords.
I know you. Some. I read your book.
Oh.
Did you?
He read the book.
Most of it. Loses everything in the process. And then stumbles upon a hell of a story in the process. People seem to have liked it fine, and it seems to have done wonders for you. So, congratulations on all that.
Oh, Jack.
I know it is in your possession, and I need you to give it up. Or we're all dead.
Again, I know things from history, and I'm like not saying anything about it, but I'm very interested to see how this will play out with the Spanish.
And for what? You subject yourself to certain death for an island full of weaklings and ingrates. I don't care what you feel you owe him. This is too important to be clouded by any of that. They took my home.
And I'm going to take it back.
I can't walk away from that. Can you? Who are you?
Oh. You should have listened to Anne.
He should be made aware Anne will not be taken lightly.
Well, neither will Lieutenant Hersey.
I understand Jack was arrested today. I would like to know why.
Half the island is going to know about Spain by the end of the day.
Part of the reason I've been able to stand by his side is that I wanted to make sure I've got a good view of the moment that the world finally catches up to him.
The parties have further agreed there will be no quarter asked, nor given.
No quarter. This is not how either of them die. How will this end? Vane is going to stop it. I don't know how, but somehow. They'll probably both hit.
3.
What? How did Teach miss? Ow. Oof. Oh. The weakness from not having enough water is starting to show its course. Yeah. Yeah, I figured.
Take him. Get the fuck off my beach.
To bite down on.
Just do it.
Oh, come on, John. Oh, yes.
I am acutely aware that I'm not the first to have been there, to have been a partner to him in this way, and that the ones that have seen those depths before, they never surfaced again.
Maybe their mistake was in trying to do it alone. To hold the tether and to find a way out.
Yes. It's so cute. Look at this color design right here. I am so impressed.
What does that mean?
He coded his message.
I walked into this place today stunned at how quickly that man downstairs had completed his conquest.
Jack, what did you do?
I sent word to Anne to take the cash and disappear.
She's not going to leave Jack.
The governor saw your letter to her.
A letter that said everything the governor wished it to say in exactly the way he'd want to say it would not sound like anything I'd ever say.
Mm-hmm.
So I have begun the duel.
That's what happens when you underestimate Anne Bonny.
And eventually Spain will raise this place to the ground. The English flag will burn. And a second pirate republic will be born from the ashes of the first. Only this time, every man who calls it home will know it came about because of me.
Yeah, except Max knows a lot of people are going to get hurt in that process.
But if their identity lies in their stories, I wanted you to know them so that when we are ready to call them enemies, you will be ready for it. The villain makes the story. So to manage our current partners, we must ensure that we all agree at all times who our common villain is.
The book. I didn't think they would make it so central. Interesting. Arming his daughter with knowledge. I like it.
The cash must be found. Right now, that is all that matters.
I have sacrificed too much to build something here. I will not let them take it away.
Tell me I didn't do it for nothing.
Well, I won't lie to you. It would have helped having the fleet.
Something to add to our pool of assets.
The papers.
Something everyone else was quick to dismiss as it held no value to them in that moment.
Information about what?
Money. Separated from the Urga gold within the fort. Can we find it before he does?
I would say this episode was a lot of moving chess pieces around on the board and getting things set up. There was a lot of planning and maneuvering. I would say the most interesting part for me was Silver and Maddie, because I think she's the first person who kind of understands what he's going through, even if she thinks he's being a little bit silly about it. And I think if anyone can help him, it's her. And Scott is right. It's about who is the villain in this scenario. And as long as it's somebody else and not someone within their group, things hold together. But the minute Flint sees himself as a villain or thinks other people think he is, chaos erupts. The duel definitely didn't go how I thought it would, because I felt like Blackbeard was more experienced with pistols. That's kind of his signature weapon. So the initial volley felt a little off to me. It made sense that close combat, Flint was at a disadvantage because he had been low on food and water and was very weak. There's definitely more I could talk about, but most of it is stuff that's going to happen in the future that they're clearly setting up in this episode, and I'm like, yes. For example, Rogers is always throwing out these little tidbits that are like super spoilery to his own future, and he's like, well, you know, if we don't do this right, this is going to happen. And we're like, about that. I'm sure that they're doing it deliberately just for the history nerds, because we're all listening and going, And I would say out of all the characters so far, Rogers is the one who does it the most. Like, he's so self-aware of what's going to happen, and he just references it right, left, and center. Like, it's a spoiler minefield of history whenever he opens his mouth. The duel was also really interesting because I'm like, all right, both of them survive fairly unscathed. Flint doesn't really get many ships, if any, and Vane goes with him. Knowing those things before they start, I don't want to say makes it less exciting, but I'm not worried as I would be in some of the other scenes where the outcome is uncertain, if that makes any sense. It was basically just me sitting there with popcorn going, so Vane, when are you gonna put a stop to this? It kind of makes me curious about how people would react to this series knowing absolutely nothing. As soon as I finish all my reactions to this show, I feel like I'm going to go search out some reactors just to see what would it be like to watch the series and not know the history. Because I think it's interesting both ways. I'm always riveted by how they manage to weave seemingly fictional characters in with vaguely what kind of happened. And they always seem to get to the same general outcome, even if they get there in a different way. I can almost see the writer's room here. They're like, okay, so this is history. How can we get here in a more interesting way that will be fun for our audience? And what is Flint doing right now? So next episode, and Bonnie is on the run. People on the island may or may not help her. And we have our intrepid anti-heroes going in to save the gems and liberate them for the cause. Meanwhile, we have Max trying to desperately keep things peaceful and protect people. It makes me love her even more because she's basically saying, I'm not trying to choose a side here, I'm just trying to keep my home as relatively peaceful as I can given the circumstances. So her goals are actually similar to Flint's. However, she values life. She values people. She has empathy, and he does not. So he's just all about, I want my home back. And she's like, actually, I want my home to be safe. Basically, this was a move the story forward episode.